You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Days of Our Lives fans. I've got your 2-week spoilers for March 31st all the way through April 11th. Orpheus is taunting, EJ is flatlining, and Jada is spilling the beans. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and if you are not following us, please reach down, click that subscribe button. Let's get started with what's coming on Monday, March 31st. So carrying over from Friday over in Estonia, we have Orpheus, aka Milo Harp, tormenting Marlena. He has a gun, he's got her trapped, and he is taunting her about John. Obviously, he knows what's going on, and Orpheus is an ex-ISA agent, and John was on an ISA-sanctioned mission, so it's all wrapped up in some deep history about John, going back to his pawn days, going back to his fake Roman days. They are really, really churning up some history, and it's interesting. Meanwhile, Steve gets busy in his search for John, and hopefully he'll drop by Marlena's room and chase Orpheus off. Back in Salem, JJ listens as Shawn opens up, and he's talking about that it's unfair that Jada's having to deal with all of this stuff because of EJ and Arnold, and JJ begins to realize that maybe Shawn is all up in his feelings about their boss. Speaking of her, Jada goes knocking on Belle's door looking for help. She wants her to help her nail EJ, and it's problematic because Rachel Blake, Kristen's mom, has gone missing, and she was really the only one willing to testify against EJ. And speaking of him, Rafe takes EJ by surprise on Monday. Probably more demands for information and threats and all that good stuff. Tuesday, April 1st, Steve and Marlena are very upset. They're very worried. They fear that they are not going to find John alive and that everything is about to fall apart. Kristen reaches out to contact Brady, but he is also focused on what's going on with John Black, and I'm sure doesn't want to deal with her stuff. Jada comes clean and tells Rafe the truth. We can only conclude that that is about sleeping with Shawn, and I think it's going to be just the straw that breaks Rafe, you know? So Belle, after conspiring with Jada, goes to work on EJ. She's trying to get a confession out of him, maybe through sexy means. We'll see. Wednesday, April 2nd, Chanel is on fire and she confronts EJ. I'm assuming the topic is A, Johnny, and B, the adoption that EJ's antics just cost them. Everybody hates EJ right now. Poor guy. He still looks good though, right? Rafe has an intense and heartfelt chat with Gabby and opens up to her, and I'm sure he's going to tell her about Jada sleeping with Shawn. And I imagine that Gabby is going to try to calm him down, you know, and make it to where Jada isn't someone who intentionally did him bad, but it's still going to be hard to be around her and Shawn. Brady catches up with Belle, and they're going to talk about EJ, Ava, and all the other good stuff going on in their lives. And Jada gets support from Paulina. Thursday, April 3rd, we have got Kate bringing some news to Roman, and depending on what part of the episode that it is, it may be about the Daily Chowder special at the pub, or it may be about a certain villain being shot. Because on Thursday is when EJ is shot. Now, the promo says someone gets revenge. I don't think that is true. I think that might be a little red herring hint. I guess it depends. So lots of people have literally been gunning for EJ, so it's going to be a big whodunit. But in the end, the perpetrator may not be someone who was thinking about revenge when they shot him. We'll talk about that a little more later. And I did a video about it, a whole leak thing about how it's supposed to go. Chanel is quite worried about Johnny, and this may be because he's upset about his dad shooting, or maybe because she wonders if he shot his dad. And Kat is there to comfort Chad. He's the one who actually finds EJ bleeding out on the living room floor. Friday, April 4th, Kayla has some news for Chad about EJ's condition. It looks like he has some kind of complication, seizure, something, and this is after they get him stabilized at the hospital. Things look dire. He may wind up in a coma or something like that. We'll see. Leo and Javi debate between themselves if Gabby or Rafe might have been the one to shoot EJ, and JJ brings Kristen in for questioning about the shooting. And of course, she had a gun in her hand and she was mad enough to shoot EJ. But when JJ grills her, she tells him that the number of people in Salem with a reason to shoot her brother EJ could fill up the entire town square. And that is a truth right there. And some of the suspects that are going to be grilled: Kate, Johnny, Ava, Kristen, Gabby, Roman, lots of people. And Gabby questions when discussing this shooting about who knows what we're capable of. Talking about not just her personally, but everybody. And Jada's drowning her sorrows when Shawn stumbles across her. So if Rafe has broken up with her, this might be a redo and they fall into each other's arms again. The week of April 7th through 11th, look for an arrest in EJ DiMera's shooting. However, I will say I expect to see more than one arrest as Jada, JJ, and Shawn sift through evidence, motive, and alibis as we creep closer to May sweeps, which starts in late April. I think we might get an arrest and they have to let someone go, and then an arrest and we have to let somebody go. Kind of an assembly line of red herrings, something like that. Sammy Brady shows up soon, not only because EJ has been shot and Flatlines and his life may be at an end, but also because Johnny's in turmoil over the EJ Sammy rape thing. And Johnny is, of course, one of the many possible suspects in the whodunit. So that makes sense that his mom Sammy would show up. Doug 3 and Holly are determined to find out what Melinda did with the necklace and who she sold it to so they can get it back and Doug 3 can return it to Julie. And after Jada spills some truth on Rafe in the first week and we see how well he doesn't handle it, it looks like she may be back to leaning on Shawn as we head into week 2. It definitely looks like this little story between Jada and Shawn might be kicking off. We're going to have more of Orpheus. And of course, if you know your history, again, he's an ex-ISA agent and he wanted revenge on Roman, but that was back in the days when it was actually John who thought he was Roman, you know, way back in during the Pawn origin stuff and all that. So there was a lot of things that John/Roman did that made Orpheus want payback. We haven't seen him in a couple of years, but this wouldn't be the first time that he's targeted John or Roman or their ladies, Marlena and Kate, since he tried to kill them. So I do think that bringing in Orpheus for this John Black death arc is a nice tribute to the past, but I don't think we're going to hear for a couple of more weeks exactly what John's fate is. Alex doesn't want any part of Philip and Sarah's messed up Xander plan next week, and he's ready to snitch about the forgery, and Tate may be surprised that Holly is sticking to her guns about their breakup.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.